Good morning. My name is Robert Ryan. Today I'll be doing a speech on the history of Christmas lights. The purpose is basically to inform you of the history of Christmas lights and through time how we've got to where we are today with the modern use and extravagant lights that we have just about in every household. So what I'm going to need you to do first is think back to when you were a kid and you would ride through neighborhoods with your mom and dad. And you just see all these great lighting decorations, trees and houses, and you know how much joy that brought you. And so you're probably wondering how we got to that point, and I'm about to tell you. So the history of lighting and trees came back from, the early 12th and 13th centuries, where December tends to be the coldest and darkest months. So a way to remedy that is people would actually take candles and they would light them obviously for light, and then they would burn logs for heating purposes. Now all this light would kind of start shifting towards other avenues, but that was originally the main idea, is to have heat and light at the same time. And then this one little goofy guy named Thomas Edison came about. We all know of Thomas Edison, but he made these light bulbs, and they were actually strung together, so there was more than one light bulb, in a row. And a way that Thomas Edison wanted to market and sell these light bulbs was so he could string them up on his little workshop, and people that was passing by were able to see it and then potentially go buy some new lights. A few years later, a guy that envied Thomas Edison, a guy named Edward Johnson, had the idea of putting these strung up lights, onto a tree and actually making decorations out of it around Christmas time. So that's kind of where we started going from, the regular heating and lighting of houses towards Thomas Edison making light bulbs, and then Edward Johnson ended up eventually putting them on trees for decorations. Now this wasn't the best idea, obviously, because these lights still tend to get very hot, as would the candles. Put them in very dry trees would cause obviously house fires. So we've evolved from that, from the modern day just regular light bulbs and candles, to where we are today. How we did that is through around 1900 or so. You can get a single strand of lights. Those lights, unfortunately, would cost about $300 for today's money. So that was quite a substantial amount of money. So only the richer, wealthier families could afford them. And we've evolved to a point of where we don't just have regular white light bulbs in a string of 10, per se. We have, LED lights. We have, all different shapes and sizes, and that's how we've gotten to where we are today with the lights. So now that you know a little more about Christmas lights and the different types that we have, I'm going to briefly go over what we talked about. We talked about the history coming from lighting and a heating source, basically to Thomas Edison making lights, and then moving on to where we string them up in trees and where we're at today. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.